I buy and renovate old homes, or as I like to call them, pig's ears.
A pig's ear is worse than a fixer-upper. It's the worst house on the block. It's a house that's been condemned, abandoned, or left for dead. I love it when people say, you cannot save this house. It's a big challenge, but that's part of the excitement. When I came down to Charleston, I felt like I had stumbled onto a big secret. These buildings are hundreds of years old. Like the pink house here that was built around 1690. It's the oldest stone house in the city. It's survived hurricanes and earthquakes, and it's a great example of history right here. Charlestonians know that they have something special here.
I should know. I make my living restoring historic homes in this area, and I've just started another renovation. It's a 1906 Country Victorian in Summerville, South Carolina. The town was a summer escape for wealthy residents of Charleston, only about 30 miles away. The house is 109 years old, and it's got major problems I've got to fix before I put it back on the market. But I've been in construction for 28 years, so this doesn't scare me off. My first project was tackling the exterior.
I started with the front of the house because it sets the tone for the whole project, and I wanted the neighborhood to know that I'm serious about saving this property.
I'm relieved that we're done on the outside. That's a big step. Now we have a house with solid exterior walls and a new roof. Next on the list is gutting the inside, all the way down to the studs. The original house was built in 1906 and was 550 square feet. It had a living room, foyer, kitchen, and front porch. From there, the octagon room was added on as a porch in the 1920s and later closed in. Then came the sunroom. This also started as a porch and was closed in, and there were two additional porches that became bedrooms. Then they built the 1960s dining room and kitchen addition and an attached garage.
My goal is to bring back the original layout, but we're going to make it better.
The first two rooms I'm going to restore are the foyer and the very pink living room.
This is the original part of the house, the original living room. The 1960s have exploded all over this thing. We know we have structural issues underneath here. This springy floor is something that I can tell what's going on because I've been in the crawl space. And there's one beam underneath that's rotten, and I don't have to replace them all, but we have to address those issues joist by joist until we get rid of this bounciness. I'm gonna get all this plaster out of here and see what's behind these walls. I know I have some wood rot and some damage in here because of this right here. The termite damage feels random, so I have to deal with each structural member that's rotten as a case-by-case basis. This fireplace I love. I don't think this has been used in 50 years. I'm gonna start by taking this out right here. And this tile work is not original. It's all cracked up. This looks like somebody's just taken their leftover tile, was just salvaged, and we can do better than this. I'm hoping that we can save this ceiling. It's plaster. It's 108 years old. Although I'm optimistic that we're going to be able to save it, I'm not convinced. Today I'm going to demo the original part of the house, the sunroom, and the octagon room. I'm really excited about starting the demo in this part of the house because now I can see how this house was built originally. My plan in the living room is to save as much as I can. I want to save the wood floors, I want to save the fireplace, and I want to save this ceiling if I can. This is wood rot. This is because we don't have cross ventilation in the crawl space.
And I'm sad to say, I don't think I'm going to be able to save these floors.
Now there's a door into the living room. I don't want a door, I want it to feel more open. So I'm gonna build an 8-foot opening, and it's gonna match the one that's already at the bay window. It's not a real renovation project if I'm not bleeding.
The hearth is in bad shape, so I'm gonna remove all the tiles, but I'll hold on to them and reuse a few pieces here and save the rest for another renovation. Then I'm gonna bust into the fireplace, which hasn't seen the light of day for 50 years.
I'm anxious to open up the fireplace because I don't know what I'm gonna find in here.
Oh, yes, a bird's nest. I see these andirons. I don't know if these are gonna be able to be salvaged or not. I'll sure try, but they're broken up. There's a big spider. Sorry, buddy, he messed up his home.
The wall between the foyer and the living room is opened up, and now I have to bring these rooms down to the studs because I gotta see what I'm up against.
Now this is 108 years old, but the termites have gone to town on it. I knew we had issues. I mean,
It's worse than I imagined. Finding this rotten wood changes my whole plan. Instead of taking a stud out here and a stud out there, I have to take the whole wall out and rebuild it completely.
I need to inspect the ceiling. This plaster is cracking. I'm concerned about the safety. I wouldn't want this coming down during construction. I also wouldn't want it coming down when people are in here living in it.
Before I started, I intentionally beat on the wall to see what I could hear, you know, crumbs falling down, so I knew there was some rotten stuff in there. But what I didn't anticipate was it being so rotten that the ceiling was gonna start to cave in and the roof to be in danger of caving in right above it.
If we have to take this ceiling down, it's gonna be a pretty sad moment.
We're demoing the living room in my 1906 house outside Charleston, South Carolina, and I'm really hoping to save the plaster ceiling, but it's not looking so good.
This is paint flecks right here, but this is where we get into structural issues as far as the structure of, not the structure of the house, the structure of the plaster. This is where I'm concerned. This is not good. This crack runs all the way through. Then we have another one over there and another one back there. We got a big one over here. And I don't want these big chunks coming down on anyone. As much as I want to save it, I also have to err on the side of caution and be safe. Oh, man. This should not be doing this. I want to save it, but it's just not possible that I'm not going to be able to save this ceiling. I'm really disappointed. I don't even want to see this come down. This is a massive loss.
All right, let's get this over with. After I finished the demo, I started cleaning up the mess. And that's when I discovered the termite damage and rot was worse than I expected.
Dang it.
This is moisture damage and termite damage.
It looks great on top, but you reach your hand around, and I mean, it's completely destroyed.
I found issues throughout the house. Moisture damage, wood rot, bug infestation, structural issues that have to be corrected. I'm disappointed that I was not able to salvage more of the living room. I thought I was going to be able to save the flower ceiling and all that plaster work. I thought I was going to be able to save the wood flooring. All that's been lost.
We had to take down all the walls and ceiling, but we were able to save the original fireplace. I wanted to save the floors, but unfortunately, the only salvageable floors were in the foyer and part of the kitchen.
It could be better, but it could be a lot worse. We're in a good place. I got a roof over my head, I got walls. The next thing to do is just to start putting this thing back together.
The foyer will be a grand entrance to the new house with an 8-foot opening to the formal living room. I'll reinstall the original base molding to the house over original heart of pine hardwood floors. In the living room, we'll put in reclaimed hardwood floors that are the same species as the original floors in the house. The fireplace will be a focal point in the room, but I'll bring it back to its original beauty, enhanced with a new tile hearth. Under the bay window, I'll install a custom window seat, and on the ceiling, in place of the lost plaster trim, I'll install a beautiful crown and tray combination, highlighted by a beautiful antique ceiling fan I hope to find and refurbish.
I'm tearing out these studs. They're not structural. I don't have to worry about the roof coming in. But I want to get them out of my way. We're going to create an 8-foot wide opening right here. And then we're going to start framing up that opening for the archway in the foyer.
All right, let's put ourselves a top plate up, shall we?
Let's do it. So we're going to sandwich this 2x12 up in here. This is really what I was picturing. You know, you come in to the foyer and you clearly are in a different room. So we're separating the foyer from the living room. I really do love it.
It's raining outside. We got a lot of work to do. We're making progress. We're going to install the girders and floor joists here in the living room. Even though the wood's wet from the rain, it'll have plenty of time to dry before we put on the subfloor. We finished our floor joists. Now we're going to put the sheathing on. We'll be ready for wood floors. Next on the list is insulation and drywall.
This mantle has been here since 1906. The mantle, along with the fireplace, is one of the only original things left in the room. I don't exactly know what I have underneath here. It's some sort of stone, I can tell. So I have some stripper. It's eco-friendly, it's pre-mixed, and I'm gonna paint this on.
Mantles from this period would have had some kind of natural stone top, if not wood, so I'm anxious to see what this will be.
I wouldn't be surprised if this was slate for a house that was built in 1906. So I gotta let this sit for 60 minutes and then I'll come back and see what I have.
Coming up,
I need an antique ceiling fan.
This is a great piece. It's very heavy.
I hit the jackpot. Let's just hope this thing works. Do you think this thing is functioning?
I don't know.
the living room in my 1906 Country Victorian has been transformed from an unsafe, termite-infested mess into a livable space. And now I'm restoring its original fireplace, starting by stripping paint off the mantle.
It's been an hour, so I can scrape this off and see how I look.
This fireplace has some cracks and some issues still, but it's worth saving. It was built by a true artisan over 100 years ago, and we don't build them like that anymore.
This mantle turned out nice. It is slate, and the more it's cleaned up, the more I like it.
Before I work on the fireplace hearth, I've got to get started on the wood floors that will surround it.
I had heart of pine in here before, but what I had at the bay window was rotten and it just started spreading in here, so we lost all that wood flooring. So what I have is new heart of pine. The good news is it's 100 years old, it's salvaged from the upstate, it was originally in a cotton mill. And this makes me feel a lot better about losing the stuff that was here since 1906.
Now that we've taken care of moisture and termite issues down in the crawl space, this floor should look good for another generation.
What's up? This is the crown molding for our ceiling in the living room. The tray is the same dimensions as what we had before with the plaster ceiling, but this is different. It'll give that classic look and it'll help kind of redefine this room in a different way.
I'm also adding the crown molding to the foyer, bringing some symmetry to the two rooms.
I really can't wait to see how the paint colors set all these great details and different levels and textures off. This fireplace is original to the house. It's special. This plaster work was done by a true artisan. Some kind of a template was made. Probably had a 1x, and then he was working his plaster like this with all these details cut into his wood template. So this is art, and you could say a lost art because we just don't find it much anymore. But right now we're gonna do the hearth.
I'm using marble subway tiles in a running bond style that could have been used in 1906. And in the corners, I'm putting back the flowered and caustic tiles I found on the hearth.
My marble's done, but I'm not finished yet.
This tile on the front of the mantel is old, but I'm not positive it's original and it doesn't work with the marble. I'm going to cover it with a painted wood panel that can be removed later if the future owners want to expose the tile. The living room is getting close, but I really want to add one last touch as a tribute to its 1906 roots.
I'm renovating a house in Somerville.
Okay.
And I need an antique ceiling fan.
I have some electronics. Let me go in the back and take a look and see what I have.
Okay, I'll look around and keep my fingers crossed. So much cool stuff. So any luck?
I think so.
Oh, yes.
This is a great piece. It's very heavy.
Do you think this thing is functioning?
I don't know, but all the parts seem to be movable.
Okay, yeah, that's a good sign. Hit the jackpot. There's a lot of character in this ceiling fan. I really like that a lot. Let's just hope this thing works.
So I'm going to an antique restoration specialist to see if he can help me with my fan.
Right. Tell me what you want to do there.
I need to find out if this fan works.
It looks to me like what you got there is all original. And you can see the wiring and all there still looks good. One thing you got to remember about these older fans, you got to see any signs of being burnt, anything like that. I'm really shocked that it's so complete.
I can see right here, it's made in
Right.
St. Louis and made 1900. That's when the patent is.
Right.
So that's in the era when my house was built.
Yeah, so this will be period correct.
So what's next?
Well, we can put it on the stand I've got and put some power to it. If we see a bunch of arcing going on, then we need to pull the plug.
I really hope that the fan works. If I find out that it doesn't, then I'm gonna come up with a plan B, and I really don't have a plan B right now.
All right, I'm gonna let you plug it in.
All right.
Plug's right down there. Let's see what you got.
I'm nearly finished restoring the living room and foyer of my 1906 Victorian, but I've got to make sure the antique fan I bought for the space will actually work.
All right, I'm gonna let you plug it in.
All right.
Plug's right down there. Let's see what you got. There you go.
Hey, excellent.
How about that?
It sounds good.
Real good. Probably redo this little bit right through there.
Okay.
Where it joins into the original wiring. I can have it done in about 2 days.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I'm glad I found you.
Good to meet you.
We're heading into the home stretch. We're painting, refinishing the original floors in the foyer and getting them to match the new floors in the living room, and running our gas lines for the new HVAC system.
David is going to deliver my antique fan today, and I cannot wait to see what it looks like. Where's my fan? I can't believe this is the same thing.
This is the same one. Hope you like it.
I don't like it. I love it.
I'll take it back.
I love it. I really do.
Good, I'm glad.
Now, what about the blades? This is what was underneath?
Oh yeah, those are the original blades.
This was pine.
It is pine.
There's a lot of pine in this house, and this is Somerville, Flower Town in the pines, so
Yeah,
it's a good match for our house here.
absolutely.
All right, we in already? Yes. All right. Man, it looks great. The foyer and the living room have gone through an amazing transformation. Now we have that great first impression. We have these grand arches.
The floors in the foyer were here from the very beginning, and they're trimmed out with original base from the house as well.
This living room had some amazing features to work with, but it was pink, crazy pink, all over the place. Now the room feels classic and elegant in a way that is modern, but it could have been like this when the house was built in 1906. The fireplace is now a focal point in the living room for all the right reasons. I'm so glad I was able to save the slate on the mantle. It really ties the whole thing together. The bones of the tray ceiling are original, and then we've added the trim and the crown, and then it's highlighted in the middle by this amazing restored antique ceiling fan. To go from the pink cotton candy nightmare to the dirt floors to what we have now that looks like it belongs in a home in the Victorian era is an amazing transformation. I'm so proud of it, and I can't wait to dig into the rest of the house.
Coming up on American Rehab Charleston.
Dang it! This rain is really starting to come down. I don't want water in this area we're trying to work. Holy cow. Why is this brick all buried? Got about 15, 16 brick. Good news. This is going to be something that people talk about when they come in this room.